everybody, and welcome. You are part of an experiment today. StreamYard, which is the platform that I use every day here on Daily Distinction, has just released a version that you can use with your iPhone and your iPad. And so I decided to give it a try today. Tammy and I got a bunch of stuff going on, and we're getting ready to run out the door as soon as I'm done here. So I thought I'd give it a try because obviously when I'm traveling or on the road, and hopefully that will happen at some point in my future and yours, I want to be able to use this to connect. So let me know how it's going, because this is the first time that I've used this from an iPad. Hey, Ted, great to see you. Hope you're having a great Sunday. Hope everything is good with you. Well, one of the problems with using the iPad is the camera is right here on the left edge, but then what you're posting is over here on the right edge. So I don't mean to act like I'm not looking at you, but I wanted to give it a try. Hey, Ken, is it working? Yeah, it works. I had to give it a try because you got me into StreamYard, and I totally love StreamYard. So wanted to give it a shot and see what was going on. And since Ken is here, I would have done it anyway. But since Ken is here, I want to remind you that tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, it's time again for another Ken and Glenn and a guy named Scott show. And we're going to have a good day. Ken, thank you for inviting me to jump on with you last night. What a great program. And I really enjoyed what a hero that you had on your program. Can you turn off the ceiling fan? No, Randall, I don't have the control, but I can't scoot over here if it bothers you. So there we go. How's that? I'll reposition the shot for you. Hey, Pam, thanks. It's working well. Good. Hey, Talene, good to see you. I appreciate that. Great that you're here. Good deal. All right. So getting in a guy named Scott coming up tonight. Also, it's early to talk about this. I mentioned it yesterday. If you missed yesterday's program, you missed me talking about it. You can't even sign up for this yet. But the Ultimate Business Summit that I do with Larry Winget and Randy Pennington is going virtual this year. That means you don't have to buy a ticket to Las Vegas. You don't have to get a hotel in Las Vegas. You can watch it on your iPad. You can watch it wherever you are. But I did kind of want to do a save the date, because there's going to be some bonuses and some incentives for those folks that sign up early. And the Ultimate Business Summit virtual this year. And by the way, this will be the last one of these that we're doing, where there will be no more Ultimate Business Summits, and it's going to be August 13th and 14th. So put a save the date on it. It's a full day on the 13th. We'll finish up about 1, 2 o'clock on the 14th, and we'd really love to have you be a part of it. So as we get where we're opening, the tickets for that, I will be certain to let you know, because I'll have a special bonus for those of you that watch Daily Distinction. So there we go with that. Good. All right. So let's talk about a subject that's really important. You'll like that. Change the camera angle. Glad to do it. Hey, Weldon, always great to see you. Curtis, you are in one of my fave cities, Manhattan, Kansas. I have a bunch of buddies that went to K-State, and golly, I'm trying to think of it. I cannot think of it. There is a terrific restaurant right there on the main drag in Manhattan, where Larry Winget, Mark Sanborn, and I had dinner one night, and we were knocked out. I've done a lot of work for Westar, which is the energy company for Kansas, and they have been a really, really good client. And so spent a lot of time in Manhattan, and a lot of great buddies that went there. So glad you're doing well, and glad you're there. What if you want to come to Las Vegas? Ken, we would love to have you in Las Vegas. There won't be anything to see, because Larry's going to be in Phoenix, and Randy's going to be in Dallas, and I'm going to be in Vegas. But, man, you are welcome here anytime. Hey, Ken, happy Sunday. Great to see you. So here's an important topic, and the topic is motivation. And think for just a minute, what motivates you? And whatever the answer is, you're right. Right? Because we'll discuss how very personal that motivation is during our short time together today. But one of the things I'd like for everybody to do is just stop and think a minute about what motivates you. What is it that would get you to do more, to achieve more, to be more? What is it out there that motivates you in today's changing and challenging time? Because goodness sakes, as times have changed, So much has changed out there. And it's a time that all of us need to reconnect with those very aspects that motivate us. So one of the things that I did was, we hear a lot, what motivational speakers say and what the motivational books say, and there's just a plethora of them out there. But what do psychologists, what do they say is motivation? And here's what I found as a clinically accepted definition of motivation. Motivation is an idea, experience, or circumstance that causes a person to release their inner resources to achieve their personal goals. Wow, that's, one of the things that as I was studying this, that I kind of discovered was sometimes it's easy to confuse enthusiasm with motivation. If you notice that, we'll see somebody that's really excited and their batteries are charged. We say, gosh, she's motivated. Well, maybe she's just enthusiastic. Because motivation causes a person to release their inner resources to achieve their personal goals. So I can be excited about getting up and going to work because I love the job, but it doesn't mean I'll accomplish anything other than the basic daily task of the job because it's not moving me anywhere. Motivation, the root word is motive. What's your reason for doing it? And motive in part comes from move. So it is, motivation is always moving you from one point to another. There has to be a motive, a reason for doing it. So a psychologist would say it's an idea, experience, or circumstance that causes a person to release their inner resources to achieve their personal goals. So what's the idea? Maybe you have an idea. I've been fortunate to be acquainted with George Foreman, and you've seen those commercials of him with the inventors thing that he's promoting that will help turn your idea into reality. And there's a lot of things out there that talk about taking your idea and making it real. Do you have an idea that inspires you? Henry Ford's idea that you could build cars on the assembly line. Thomas Edison, where do you begin? Steve Jobs with the idea that the computer could be for everyone. Jeff Bezos with the idea that, what if we took what Enterprise Rental Car was doing for cars and made that for books, and then realized we could make it for everything with Amazon. So maybe there's an idea that inspires or excites you. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Bourbon Baker. There you go, Ronaldo. So that's really cool. Hey, Charles, catch me on the road outside Medford on his way to Portland. Man, you're traveling. Good to be here. Wow, you're getting closed captioning, Ted. I don't know. Maybe that's part of what goes on with it being on the tablet rather than the computer. I hope it's accurate, right? It might have me saying something completely different than what I'm talking about here. So what is there an idea out there that motivates you? Maybe you've had an experience, right? Now that experience could be you read a book where everything clicked, or you heard a speaker. You attended a Tony Robbins seminar, you heard Zig Ziglar speak, or something happened that presented you with an experience that changed you, that made you want to go, wow, I can do more than what I'm currently doing. Remember, an idea, experience, or the third is what is or was the circumstance. I don't know about you, but I find circumstances to be very motivating. In other words, when you find yourself in a circumstance where you say, I am better than this. I do not have to live this way. I do not have to be this way. I can make it better. I can make it better for myself, for my family, for whatever. But for me personally, circumstances are very motivating. But all three are, that you have an idea, or you go through an experience, or you find yourself in a circumstance, and that becomes what launches your motivation. However, notice what comes next. It says that gets you to release your inner resources. In other words, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't blow yourself up and start all over. You take what's already there. You take what's already inside of you. And I find that to be very inspiring as well, because it doesn't mean I need to go out and I might need to learn some new skills. I might need to learn some new things, but I release my inner resource of being able to learn that moves that. I find a way to release what's already inside me. Oh, Ken, who is our resident expert here, said closed captioning is now on all videos on Facebook business pages automatically. I did not know that. So obviously, Ted's watching on one of the business pages. Others who aren't seeing the closed caption might be watching on my personal Facebook page. Very cool. Thanks. Mountaintop experiences are where changes started for you. And Brian, that's spot on. Well, my whole thing, I mentioned here many times, got started as a kid in a student organization. And I recorded a keynote for their convention this year, which I was really excited, but I was really, I had mixed emotions because, I can't imagine when I was the kid sitting in the auditorium, if a guy my age would have gotten up, would I have listened to them? But I remember sitting on the next to the last row at Loeb Playhouse at Purdue University when I heard a speaker that made me go, wow. And it was the first time I thought about there could be life beyond, the borders of my town, or life beyond, taking over the grocery store, or whatever it might be. So yeah, Brian, I'm with you 100%. Mountaintop experiences can change. Yeah, there you go, Ken. You're on the personal page, no caption. Yeah, absolutely. So you got to release your inner resources. Think about what that means for a minute. It means that motivation is always an inside job. So think about this for a second. You've got, say you've got a little department of 5 people, and the boss doesn't think it's performing at the level that it should be. Okay, so you got 5 people. The output of the team isn't what the boss thinks that it should be. So the boss comes in and full of bluster and shouts, do this or be fired. Whoa. Now, many of us would say, well, man, that's demanding, that's motivating. But what if you just gotten an offer from the competition that would pay you 1/3 more than what you're currently working for? And the boss comes in and says, do this or be fired. And you think, hey, buddy, I'm out of here. It's not motivating at all. Why? Because the external force didn't motivate you internally. Now, if you're sitting there going, man, I got to keep this job. I mean, if I don't keep this job, what will I do? How will I feed my family? How will I? Then you jump on it. But see, the motivation didn't come from the boss. The motivation came from you and your needs and your desires. So motivation is always an inside job. It's always internal. That's the key. Ted, there you go, and that's great. I appreciate you being there. And Ken, thank you for the explanation. That's cool. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You bet. Jerry Clower. I had the chance to work with Jerry on several occasions. So what a guy. Yep. Absolutely, Brian. That's cool. So there you go. If you want to be motivated, it starts within. It starts within. So what it means is motivation is always goal directed. When we go back to that definition, that you release your inner resources to achieve your personal goals, it means that there's got to be a goal. You can't be motivated just to be motivated. That's enthusiasm. That's something. But it ain't motivation unless it's goal directed. There has to be an objective. Remember, we said motivation is to move, and movement always has to be towards something, right? I mean, you don't want to be like a pinball just bouncing around. It's got to be goal directed. So it gets back to what we've talked about in terms of what goals are. Now, don't get me wrong, speakers and books and seminars and programs are critical because they can be the catalyst to guide you to motivate yourself. On here, you've already seen it from Brian and others, that they attended something or they were a part of something that was the catalyst that helped them motivate themselves. So you have to be constantly availing yourself of material. Hey, it's watching Daily Distinction. It's reading a book or a blog post or listening to a podcast or going to a summit or seminar or whatever that provides you with that spark that you need, that catalyst that you need to set the goals and move yourself toward them in the direction. So, as we do here on the weekends, we go a little bit shorter period of time. Let's review, because this is really, really important. And especially if you just joined us. The question is, what motivates you? And what is motivation? And again, that clinical definition, the psychologist's definition, is it's an idea, experience, or circumstance that causes a person to release their inner resources to achieve their personal goals. So, maybe you sit down with a legal pad and just say, what's the idea that I can't get out of my head? What's the idea that I keep coming back to that I've always wanted to do something about? Maybe it's a business that you want to grow, or maybe it's something you want to do in your business that would help it grow. Maybe it's the novel that you want to write. Maybe it is, you fill in the blank, it's your idea. But what's the idea that would get you to set the goal? What was the experience that you had? Maybe even on that legal pad, describe, like I described sitting in the next to the last row of that convention. And I've recently had even another experience that's retargeted and regrowing that. So describe the experience. What's the experience that would move you? Or what's the circumstance that you were in or that you find yourself in now that makes you go, I've got to change things, right? You don't get motivated to stay the same, right? You don't get motivated to tread water. You get motivated to move in a better direction. So write it out. What's the experience that will cause you to release your inner resources to work on that inside job in a goal-directed manner? What are the catalysts that would help you to do that? What are the catalysts? You might just be one good book or one good seminar or one good mastermind away from what it would take to get what you desire. Bruce, what is the strategy of a motivational speaker? What a great question. And, in all candor, I think you probably get as many answers as speakers. One of the things I've always believed is there's no such thing as a motivational speaker if we really look at that definition, right? Because if the speaker was motivating, then the audience would be motivated. And we know that's not true. I mean, the story from antiquity says that after the Sermon on the Mount, some believed, but some mocked and laughed, and some wondered what was going on. And so even the Sermon on the Mount didn't hit 100%, not by a long shot, right? So I've always thought my job is to be the catalyst, to show either some ideas, or in my situation with the 4 cornerstones of distinction, for example, to say, here is a system, here is a pattern that if you apply that pattern, you can stand out from the competition. Now you and I both know that there are some people that just don't get that they need to stand out. And there are other people that get it, but they won't do anything about it. And there are others that will find a way to make it happen. And you're one of those. So the strategy, I think, for any successful speaker is to create a presentation that, by using various methods, will move the audience to the conclusion that you sincerely feel will benefit them. Okay, so what are different methods? I could tell the Taxi Terry story that's funny, but yet also tells you about somebody and it gets you to think. I can use statistics. I can use personal examples. Those are all techniques geared to move the audience to the conclusion that I sincerely believe will be best for them. Because I sincerely believe if they find how they can stand out, make their business stand out, that they are going to earn more. What does earn more mean? First, people think, they're going to earn more money, and it's sure. If you stand out, typically, almost always, you earn more than the competition. But I also think you earn more respect. You earn more recognition. You earn more time off. You earn more uh, from your staff because that you've attracted better people there. So I sincerely believe that's what we need to know in business. There are others that have alternative viewpoints, but I think the strategy of the speaker is, how do I accomplish that? How do I move the audience to think about what I sincerely believe is going to help them? So I hope that answers the question. That's a great question. At the end of the day, it's time for us to get motivated. And so whatever you need to be your catalyst is what you ought to be seeking right now. What do you need to be your catalyst in terms of what will get you more excited, what will get you thinking, what will get you to evaluate the experiences you had or the circumstance you're in? What will give you the idea or make you take action on an idea you already have but that you haven't followed up on? When you do those things, you're going to be motivated, and better things are in store for you. And you know what? Better things are in store for your customers and your family and everybody else. Because when you get better, everything else gets better. Hey, that does it for today's Daily Distinction. Don't forget, tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, we're going to have the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott. And we're going to have another great evening of fun and just sharing ideas, and want you to get involved in that with well. I hope you'll tune in for that. And also, don't forget, I'll be right back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, for our next edition of Daily Distinction. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for joining in. I really appreciate it. And I will look for, oh, wait a minute, moving on to change. Yeah, but there you go, Brian. That's a great one. I appreciate it, Ted. It always means the world to me, man, when you're here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Let's go get motivated. You bet, Ken. I'll see you tonight. Ronaldo, hey, man, thank you. I appreciate it. It's my favorite 30 minutes of the day. That means the world to me, my friend. Thank you for that. I look forward to talking to everybody tonight on the Ken and Glenn Show with a guy named Scott, tomorrow at 3 o'clock with the next Daily Distinction.